Who's the GOAT? It's a question that dominates sports debates.
So they only. So they hold on.
Just that. There's 6 final losses.
Yeah.
6 finals losses.
Let me ask you.
But between different eras, rules, and styles of play, it becomes an impossible question to answer because each person has their own criteria for who's the GOAT. But what if we shifted the question?
Oh, you don't got Tupac in your top 5? No. Tell me your personal top 5.
Who's your GOAT? Who's the player that for you defines the sport? The player that made you fall in love with it? For example, let's look at tennis, where the three players that are widely accepted as the greatest all played their careers overlapping each other. Yet the debate on who the greatest still persists, showing you that the GOAT debate will always boil down to narrative and personal preference. What does your GOAT tell you about your own values? The big three, Roger, Rafa, and Novak, each have a case to be the GOAT. If you want to read more of an in-depth analysis, check out our website, where each of them is covered individually. Click the link in the description to read that. But for now, let's dive in, starting with Roger Federer, the artist. Roger was so technically brilliant, with the tennis racket as his brush and the court as his canvas. Every rally was a masterpiece of technical grace and excellence. He makes it look so effortless. I'm sure you've heard those words from any Roger Federer fanboy. But his class and grace wasn't limited to just his technical brilliance. It shined in his sportsmanship and his composure both on and off the court. It's no wonder that wherever the tour went, he was adored and loved by a majority of the fans and considered to be the perfect ambassador and role model for the sport. He inspired millions to pick up a tennis racket and try to emulate him, making him the perfect choice for those who value the way the game is played just as much as winning. Next up, we have Rafael Nadal, the gladiator, who embodied such an unmatchable intensity and fighting spirit that was felt by everyone who laid their eyes on it. Everything was amped up against Nadal because you either had to try to match that intensity or be swallowed up by it. You would regularly see Nadal flat on his back the second the match was over because he treated every point like a war and gave it his all every time he was out there. At times it was impossible to beat him, and particularly on clay courts. No one mastered the discipline as well as Nadal on clay. Winning 10 Grand Slams is a feat most players dream of, but to win 14 times at one event is unparalleled dominance. Of course, it wasn't always smooth sailing, as Rafa battled knee problems and a foot condition, but this just showcased his resilience and his warrior mentality. The return at the Australian Open in 2022, when he could barely walk months earlier. And to top it off with a win was a perfect display of grit and determination that made Rafa so successful and the perfect champion for those who value an unbreakable willpower and warrior spirit. Now finally we have Novak Djokovic, the machine. Now most people break down with age, but when it comes to Novak, he just seemed to get better and better, getting dismissed early in his career, called too injury prone, not good enough, but then he proved everyone wrong, becoming a master of discipline and self-improvement, constantly refining and tweaking his process until he became what can only be described as a machine. Clinical, efficient, and essentially unbeatable. He crashed the Federer-Nadal party and ate all the cake. He had no problem ruining the crowd's day or being the odd one out. If you were to build a player in a lab, that player would be Novak Djokovic. That would lead him to outlasting the previous two and becoming the most successful player in history, making him the perfect champion for those who value the pursuit of self-mastery and maximizing your potential. So who represents your idea of what tennis is the best? Who made watching tennis the most enjoyable for you? The goal isn't just about the players themselves, it's about the values they represent. Ultimately, agendas and debates ruin what was a magical time in history where we all got to witness greatness. It doesn't matter who your goat was because we were all blessed to soak it in. Time moves on, but the memories and stories we have to tell are what made these moments one of the best times of our lives. We get to tell our children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews about these stories on historical figures who they will not care about because, well, you just had to be there. Check out the Drunken Wizard magazine on dreams and values for more.